All right, welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Vinny.
I'm Dylan.
Today we're going to talk about this article that came out this week about one of our highest conviction plays, personally, Alibaba Group, and that U.S. Senator bought some Alibaba stock.
Oh, you did? That's good news. I don't know anything about this presentation. If you like this kind of stupid guy entertainment, oh boy, stock entertainment, we're just two stupid guys trying to figure everything out. Give us a like and subscribe.
We'll get to it.
Two stupid guys trade stocks.
See, Dylan, you might actually even know who this guy is. Does he look kind of familiar?
Is that Donald Trump?
No, he's a friend of his, but it's not actually him.
There's going to be like 3 people that were triggered by that.
So he's actually you might know him from his prior job as from becoming a U.S. Senator from the state of Alabama, is that he was the head football coach for Auburn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's quite the resume there. All right.
I know, right? Tommy Tuberville is his name. The reason why this came out this week is, he finally disclosed the last 6 months of his stock transactions, although they're technically required to do within 45 days. But in December, he had a couple of purchases of Alibaba stock. Yeah.
250K?
So it's hard to exactly estimate because Congress folks, when they report, they give ranges. So there was a purchase between 50,000 and 100,000, and there was another purchase between 50,000 and 100,000. And then there was a sale, So it's hard to estimate, but
Right.
250 to 300,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
How much does a senator make?
A salary is less than that. I want to say it's about 230,000, I think, for the House of Representatives, and like 270,000, I think, for senator. It's about that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So he actually ran an investment firm at one point in time too. So most of their wealth comes from outside. I actually just looked at
wow. So wait, coach of Auburn, investment firm, senator.
Yes.
Donald Trump lookalike. They look identical. Okay.
I mean, they obviously go to the same kind of makeup artist maybe, but
hairstylist.
Hairstylist here. But this has kind of brought up a couple of interesting questions. So first of all, does this kind of signal that U.S. delisting risk is low enough that a sitting United States senator feels that it's a prudent investment to put a chunk of money into this ADR, this foreign investment?
Right. No, I mean, it's definitely a good sign if you're a Baba person.
So previously, he actually had owned some Alibaba back in June of 2020. Small amount. I want to say, I think it was 5,000, 10,000, somewhere in that ballpark. And when he was made aware of the fact that he owned it, he directed his investment advisors to liquidate that position. Yeah. He's actually been one of the more outspoken people in terms of anti-Chinese politics kind of, he introduced legislation last year to prevent TSPs. You know what that is?
No.
TSP? Thrift, it's called Thrift Savings Plan. It's the military 401k. He introduced legislation that would ban them from owning these. Didn't go anywhere.
And then he bought some? That's
Then
cool.
he bought some for himself.
That's really nice.
Obviously he's going to say that it wasn't his decision. It was that his investment advisors made that decision. But still, the result is still his money invested in these companies. So these are the actual transactions that get reported. So we have those 3 purchases, and then we have a partial sale. This is all taking place over the last month or so.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty I personally, I know a lot of people worried about it. I personally have never even considered it, and never really even entered my mind that it could be delisted, because once again, that means we're in World War III, or all Chinese stocks are delisted, not just one, and that's a much worse scenario. So
exactly.
To me, I've never actually been worried about it, but everyone else might feel pretty happy.
To me, it's a remote possibility. Definitely not a probability, but it could happen, right? The same way it's like we find out we're all living in the Matrix. It could happen.
There's like a 75% chance that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Your math.
Actually, there's a higher chance of us finding that we're living in the Matrix than Baba being delisted. I 100% believe that, and I don't believe the Matrix is real at all. So
Yeah, I'm gonna hold you to that one if it happens. So he
Go
said,
for it.
this is Tommy Tuberville, formerly of Auburn. He's a kind of freshman congressman, so these are his committee assignments. I just want to point out a couple interesting things from one of the articles I read about this, and open the discussion a little bit in terms of, I don't know what your opinion was on this. So, Armed Service Committee, Agriculture, Nutrition and Forestry, Veterans Affairs, and Health, Education, and Labor Pensions. Um, this is one of the headlines. This is actually from al.com, his local newspaper. Vowed to dump the Chinese stock and then bought more. How he had vowed to dump it back in June of 2020. This is just from yesterday, basically, at this point. So pretty recent news. This is another interesting one. So he sits on that commodity committee, and he purchased $1.8 million in copper, steel, and aluminum infrastructure related stocks before the infrastructure bill.
Oh,
This
okay.
isn't to impugn him specifically. All right, this is just things that were mentioned when we were talking about him. All of Congress has had dealings like this. When you look at the top, like,
Oh, I
15,
know. No one's safe
yeah,
at all.
yeah,
Neither party. They're all not cool. I don't want
yeah.
to say scumbags. I'm going to yell that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but definitely interesting when you sit on the committee that governs this, and you're putting $1.8 million into these investments. Okay, there's another one here. Now, 15K is relatively small potatoes as far as like a Microsoft position for sure. But 2 weeks before the $10 billion contract was canceled, and once again he does sit on the committee that would have been certainly involved in this process of selecting someone for their cloud infrastructure.
Ugh.
Yeah.
There's
So
a whole stock strategy that you just look at these. I mean, that's a valid strategy. You just follow all these guys. But the problem is you're always a little bit step behind because you don't know when they sell or buy.
yeah, they're technically supposed to report within 45 days of the transaction.
Right.
However, I
But
want
like
to
the
say,
Microsoft thing, you'd have been screwed right there because that was 2 weeks before.
yeah, there was an article. I can't remember the name of the organization, but they had looked at it and found that more than 50 congressmen like failed to comply with this 45-day rule. And when they failed to comply, you would think that would result in pretty substantial punishment, right?
I
But
would
in
hope so.
reality,
Yeah.
typically what they consider small fines is how they're punished for not meeting that 45-day deadline. Like even this like disclosure that we get here from that Senator Tommy Tuberville comes as 6 months of transaction history being revealed. Like I said, when it's supposed to be within the last 45 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's not okay.
pretty interesting. I wanted to take a look at the chart real quick too here with Alibaba and see, what do you think the trend is going at this point? It definitely looks like it's established
Yeah, actually, you just made the shape with your hand. This is
yeah.
called a rounded bottom,
Okay.
right? Every once in a while, when you have a rounded bottom, what you'll do is market makers sometimes will bring a little bit of a test back down to here just to shake out all the people that are real scared, get that accumulation of shares, and then they go back up. So,
Okay.
we could accumulate, I would assume we would accumulate here. However, soon we have to fill this gap. All right. Whenever you have a gap like this, the market is here to facilitate trade. They're here to find the most even price between buyers and sellers because that's how they make money. They make money on the bid and the ask.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime that they have a large gap, it usually wants to be filled within like 2 months. We're coming up on 2 months. So
Okay.
I
Where
would
does that?
see this to be tested first. This is 161 to 146.
Okay, that's a pretty sizable gap. $15 a share, 10% or
Yeah,
so. Wow.
big
Okay.
gaps. Just think of all the volume of shares that was not eaten up by these market makers that didn't get to have that cash because it skipped it. So, yeah.
Interesting. All right, we'll see. It's funny. We did that other video about how I almost sold my Baba. I ended up buying back that call, and then I sold the 140.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. It finished 131, so you were right. It was a good call.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have been all right letting my shares get called away at 131 and then just simply repurchasing. It would have cost me less if I had done that, but such is life in hindsight.
Oh, one caveat here for the filling the gap.
Mm-hmm.
This is an ADR. It is traded like 18 hours a day. It's not the same as stocks in the US in terms of filling the gap probability.
Yeah.
Because it's traded all like pretty much throughout the entire day, minus like 4 hours or something. So
And it seems like swinging Baba is quite a challenging prospect.
it's not a short swing. It's you have to want to hold it for 3 months. I want to hold this for like at least a couple years. So
yeah, that's my plan as well. But all right, guys, well, let us know. I'm just kind of curious about whether or not this signals anything for Alibaba stock in terms of delisting risk, and also how you feel about congressmen trading individual stocks and equities.
yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, 75% of Americans don't like it. So there you go.
All right, I'm in the majority. Let's go.
Only 5% approved. The other 19% were like, eh.
Perfect. Seems very fair.
Yeah. Catch you guys in the next one.